It's been about 5 years of me creating YouTube golf content, and what I stumbled across the other day is the top 5 that made me the most amount of money. Guys, how you doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. Simon down here at Sanford Springs Golf Club. Day of filming, but I thought this would be an interesting one. I haven't done one of these for quite a while. I've never necessarily been shy in telling you guys how YouTube works, ad revenue, X, Y, and Z. But what I stumbled across the other day was my lifetime earnings, which I'll just show you here, just over £50,000. Where that money's gone, I have no idea. But what I found even more interesting was the top 5 videos and the similarities that they all have within each other, and the ones that have, I guess, done well, because there's some videos that, don't get me wrong, got more views, but the ones that have made me the most amount of money. And we're going to do my top 5 list of those videos, and I thought a few of you guys would find this content rather interesting. So if you wouldn't mind leaving this video a like if you liked it and found it somewhat insightful, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and I guess we should probably start with number 5. And at number 5 we have how to build your bag on a budget, and timing was kind of crucial for this one. I didn't think it was going to do as well as it did, and to be honest, in the first 2 weeks it didn't do as well as I thought it was going to, but the timing of this was kind of perfect in terms of the pandemic. There's so many new golfers to the game, and it makes sense why this video kind of popped off. Didn't get as many views as the others, but just over £480 I got from this video at 75,000 views. That is like seriously high. It's almost like half that amount of money for those kind of views. But golf in general is quite a high paying sport, mainly because of our demographic is between the ages of 20 and 60 and male, and a lot of these viewers have disposable income. Therefore we do get paid more than most demographics, for example like gaming. But I was actually really proud of this video, and I think this is my favourite video out the list. All the other 4 videos in this list, even though I got paid the most, I don't think necessarily were the most entertaining or the best, and a lot of these are like 3 years ago, and I do feel I've stepped it up over the years. But as a YouTuber, you really don't know what's going to work well, and you don't know what's going to stick, or you don't know what's necessarily going to come out. One thing we do know, reviews, especially golf club reviews, as you will see through this entire list, is a bit of a theme and pay well, and I imagine that's because the ads that go alongside it, whether it's the actual equipment or you see ads from other golf online stores selling golf clubs of them underneath it, it makes sense why these ones tend to get more views, especially in the secondary market, especially around Christmas time, because some of these videos pop off around November, December, will stay relatively quiet throughout the duration of the year. And at number 4, £561 Taylormade M6 versus Taylormade M2, and this is pretty much where the second-hand videos originated. I was getting a bit fed up of the new releases coming out. I'm pretty sure I slated the Taylormade M5 that year as well, and this was the slow turning point of me just doing reviews as normal, all the new stuff coming out, and me looking more towards the secondary market. What can you get for your money? And it was a bit of a turning point, and I did like these videos. Now the title and the thumbnails were very, not clickbait, but very much out there, and I knew that title, expensive and review, and any title on YouTube is going to do relatively well, more than most, mainly because it has those search words, and people that are looking to put ads on YouTube would want their ads to be referred to in expensive review, actually, because that's the audience that they are trying to attract. I don't think these are necessarily my best videos, but again, it's insightful for me to remember exactly what kind of videos did well, but then at the same time I think I could make better and more educational videos like I do now, and maybe with a twist of that sprinkled over it in the future. But at £561 we had the Taylormade M6 versus the Taylormade M2. Number 3 arguably is one of my most favourite reviews. It was something a bit different. I don't think anyone had ever done this at the time, and it was my Bushnell versus the Molesi rangefinder. Now the Molesi, the original one that I had, I believe was about £50–60 on Amazon, and not too many people were looking at it. I believe it's gone up in price over the years, which makes sense because it's been about 3 years now, but I really enjoyed using the Molesi. Don't get me wrong, I think there was more features with the Bushnell, but when you're talking near on £250 difference between the two, I think my Bushnell brand new would be about 299, maybe 329, something like that, versus the Molesi, and the differences weren't that different. We're talking like 3 yards here, 4 yards there, but in the video, as I stated, most golfers, that wouldn't make much difference. Now, I'm pretty sure that video would have also enticed a lot of other sports, for example, like hunting, and maybe that kind of yardage would make a difference. But when it came to golf, I thought it was a very affordable, good rangefinder. Okay, the color was a bit off, but I believe they've changed that over the years, I should say. But it made sense why this one did well, especially when it came to like the secondary views, people putting in a search engine trying to find that affordable rangefinder, as £300 to £400 for a rangefinder is almost the same amount as most of your guys' bags. So I would actually say this is my favorite video at the top 5 list, and I do feel like it deserved to actually be up there. Number 2, we had my PXG 0211 review when they initially brought out the 0211. I remember making a video before that one, basically slagging it off, because at the time the 0211 was still quite expensive. We're talking £200 a club, I believe. Now, if you ask me, should you go and get an 0211 these days, I would say 100% yes, as you can go and choose on the website, get custom fitted either over the phone or in person at £75 a stick, which is just unbelievable value. But I believe at the time they were upwards of £150 per club. And I remember making a video slagging it off, and I even got messaged by PXG themselves to go and try it and review it, and I did, and it was a good club, but at the time it was double at least of the price that it is now. So if you're looking for a brand new club, steel, you want it shortened or lengthened, and you want different, or maybe graphite, whatever it might be, highly recommend going and checking out PXG, as they're half the price of every other manufacturer out there. And I really love the review. Got fitted by Matt, he knows his business, and it was just a great experience. So it makes sense, especially over the last couple of years as well, why that video's done well, as a lot of people will be turning to PXG and looking at the 0211. And I imagine if you type that into YouTube now, it's one of the videos that would probably pop up, even though it was more Gen 1 when they first brought it out. So at number 2, we had my honest review of that PXG iron. And at the number 1 spot, at £744 for the video, is the most cringiest video of my channel. Expensive versus cheap, G400. I think this is one of the first ones I did, hence why I didn't, again, necessarily do that well. I just remember in November, all of a sudden my earnings going up by like £500. And at this time, about 3 years ago, I was making £300 a month, potentially. £400 would be a good state. So my earnings kind of doubled all of a sudden on this video, and I think that's what started the flurry of expensive versus cheap over the rest of the year, because I was like, well, if I can do this for every video, and it was just a bit all over the shape. It's just not even a fair review. I mean, it just didn't really make that much sense. I had the GC2 on the golf course, multiple different golf balls. The numbers were a bit all over the place. I think I was trying to draw lines that potentially weren't even there. And I said, yeah, look what you can get for 30 quid for a G10 versus £300 G400. And realistically now, I think you're probably better off getting a £180 G400 versus a £30 G10. Don't get me wrong, I like the G10, but there is G400 just, for me personally, is still the best driver out there on the market. If you, for value for money, don't get me wrong, it's still expensive, but it's still incredibly good for a lot of you amateurs. And I know £180 potentially might be a bit too much for your budget, but if you do save up and you do want to get something as good as everything out there, the G400 is it, realistically. At the time, I remember going, this is 30 quid, this is it, but it was my swing at 120 miles an hour. I think if you were to compare that with an amateur and obviously the G400, I think you would see distance, and I think you would actually see a tighter dispersion depending on what head type and what shaft you could get, compared to obviously just the standard G10 head. It was a bit all over the place. It was interesting that this is my number 1 paid video of all time, but I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Guys, there you have it. That is my top 5 paid videos. Roughly I make about £80 a video, something like that, and it takes me 3 hours to film the video and 3 hours to edit. So just above £15 an hour, I'd say, when it comes to YouTube videos. So we're not quite there, we haven't quite made it, but it's not necessarily the money that makes me do these. If it was the case, I would have stopped 3 years ago, when it took me just as much time to make £300. So I appreciate you guys watching the video. Hopefully that gives you some kind of insight, and again, it's insightful for me to know what does make the most money and what does get clicks over the years, rather than just that flurry over a 2-day, 3-day period, which sometimes it can seem when you're making YouTube content. Guys, if you like this video, leave it a like, subscribe if you're new. Catch you guys there.